Farsports have just dropped a bomb on the Chinese wheel industry. The new 2025 range wheels, the specs are crazy, but what's even more insane are the prices. So this is an entire new wheel range, everything from steel spokes to carbon spokes, climbing wheels, aero wheels, pretty much everything. But the one recurring theme throughout the range is that the value is now awesome. Now this is going to be a pretty long video because essentially I have to go through 12 new wheels, but anyway, let's check them out. So who are Farsports? In case you've been living under a rock, Farsports are one of the OGs of the Chinese wheel brands out there. They've been doing it since like 2007, and one thing that makes them different from most of the other guys in this game is that they actually own their own rim factory and hub factory. This means they also do OEM manufacturing for some Western brands too. But those factories I actually did a tour of a few months back. You can find the video up here somewhere if you want to see that. But while I was making that video, they were hard at work working on these wheels, the 2025 range. At the time, I was super stoked. I thought they looked super promising. When they were showing me the specs for the wheels, it was hard to believe. But now, months later, the actual wheels are finished and they live up to the specs. The past few months, I've also been helping them test the wheels throughout various stages of production. As I've been tinkering with things, they've given me a few sets to ride on. So the wheels on the bike behind me are a set of EVO S 6s. Down here, I have a set of the regular steel spoked C3s, so great little climbing wheels, super light, can't get over how light these ones are. And I also have a set of the C5s, so same as the C3s but in 50mm deep. But C3, C5, S6, EVO, like what does all of this mean? The lineup is a bit confusing, so I'm going to deconfuse it for you and go through and explain what it all means. So the first thing is the C and the S. Now these define them as carbon spokes or steel spokes, but the letters for some reason are opposite. So C stands for steel spokes and S stands for carbon spokes. I don't know why, I didn't do it, just remember that they're the opposite. So also in the range, whether it's steel spoke or carbon spoke, we have EVO and regular wheels, the non-EVO. The EVO is basically the creme de la creme version, a lighter rim and some other small changes as well, which we'll talk about in a minute. Then the number, either a 3 or a 5 or a 6, that refers to the rim height. So the 3, they're 35mm deep, the 5s, they're 50mm deep, and the 6s are 58mm deep. Now both the 5 and the 6s have a 24mm internal with a 30mm external, which is a very modern size for like your 28mm tires or whatever. Performs very well on the coil index, all that stuff. But on the 3s, the 35mm deep ones, they're actually narrower. They're just 21mm internal and 28mm external. The logic here being that these are climbing wheels, so you want them as light as they can. And it doesn't matter if they sacrifice a bit of aero because the tire's a bit of a light bulb on there, because they're a shallow rim anyway, and they're made for climbing. So make the rim narrower, it'll be a bit lighter, a bit stiffer, better for power transfer and all that stuff. So yeah, makes sense. And then on all of the EVO versions, there's also an option to upgrade to ceramicspeed bearings. Farsports have been a technical partner with ceramicspeeds for years now at this point. And yeah, I think you add $200 to the EVO wheels, you can upgrade them from the standard steel bearings to ceramicspeed bearings. Ceramicspeed, you either love them or you hate them. I know GC recently did a video on these wheels and he's a big fan of the ceramicspeed bearings. And he had, in his video, he had a wheel spin there for quite a long time too. So yeah, that's an option if you're down for ceramicspeed bearings. So let's roughly talk through the 4 kind of series we've got. We've got the C, we've got the C EVO, we've got the S, and we've got the S EVO. So we'll start with the C, which if you were paying attention before, C stands for steel. So these are the steel spoked entry-level quote-unquote wheels. So speaking of the Cs, these are my C3s. Ignore the stickers, these were early prototype stickers, and ignore the hubs because mine just have boring anodizing with no logos on it. The final production versions are different. But basically these wheels, the steel spokes, they're actually Alpina ultralight spokes. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Alpina are the guys who provide spokes to Campagnolo for their WTO Ultra Series wheels. Obviously, everyone's used to hearing about Sapim or DT Swiss spokes, but these are Italian Alpina spokes. So yeah, if you know, you know. 21 spokes on the front wheel, 24 spokes on the rear wheel. Absolutely beautiful rim. That's a common theme throughout all of these wheels. All of these wheels have beautiful, beautiful rims. But the 2 crazy things about this wheel are the weight and the price. So the C Series, The C3s, 1,210 grams. So nearest mixing difference, 1,200 gram wheel set. C5s, 1,330 grams, and C6s, 1,430 grams. But the price, $1,099. Like less than $1,100 for a 1,200 gram wheel set. Disc brake. Like these are numbers that a few years ago were just unimaginable to have a disc brake wheel set that light. Next you have the EVO C Series, so similar to the regular C but with an even lighter rim, and also with some Supim CX super spokes in there. I think on the drive side of the rear wheel to help with power transfer a bit. But yeah, the EVO C Series basically in my opinion will just represent the pinnacle of steel spoked wheels. If for whatever reason you're not convinced by carbon spokes, or for some other reason you don't want carbon spokes, I think the EVO C Series, yeah, they're the creme de la creme of steel spoke wheels. The lighter rim and all that stuff brings the weights down a bit, so the EVO C3 is 1,150 grams, the C5 is 1,270 grams, and the C6 is 1,370 grams. I don't think you can quite comprehend just from these numbers just how light that is. A steel spoked 50mm deep wheel for 1,270 grams. For some comparison, like the NV SES 4.5s, they're 1,432 grams. So yeah, for double the price as well. So if steel spokes are your thing, the EVO C Series are the top. Then there's the regular S Series. Again, S stands for carbon. So they have carbon spokes. They're Farsports' own like 5mm wide aero carbon spokes. You guys know me, I'm a carbon spoke expert. I've been yapping on about carbon spokes for like 5 years at this point. And I think this S Series are a direct competitor to all of those Chinese carbon spoke wheels out there. Why do I say that? Again, our all two friends, weight and price. These wheels can go toe to toe with any of the other carbon spoked wheels out there, and I'll run you through the stats. So price wise, we're at $1,299 US. Again, it's not the cheapest Chinese carbon spoke wheels, but it's also not the expensive, but wait till you hear the weights. So in the S3, the climbing wheel, just 1,130 grams. 1,130 grams. If you think that's too shallow for you, go up to the 50mm wheels, and we're 1,230 grams. Again, as I said earlier, these are weights that we never thought we'd see disc brake wheels getting down to back in the day. Back in the day, rim brake wheels were maybe this light, but not disc brake wheels. Going up to the S6s, 1,330 grams. So again, for a deep wheel, just over 1,300 grams is pretty crazy. And as I said, just $1,299. The bang for the buck on that is insane. But if you're not just after bang for the buck, you're after just as much bang as you can get, as much performance as you can get, then there's the EVO S Series. So that's what I have behind me. Again, EVO is the high modular stuff, the creme de la creme stuff. So on the EVO S Series, basically price goes up and weight goes down. So now price-wise, we're getting onto $1,499 US, so just shy of that $1,500 margin. But weights have gone crazier. So the shallow ones, 1,090 grams, so sub 1,100 grams. And in the 50s, they're 1,190 grams, and the 6s, they're 1,290 grams. So again, we'll use the 50s as an example, 1,190 grams for a 50mm deep disc brake wheel set. Insane. Now my previous favorite wheels, the CRWs, you've heard me rabbit on about them for ages. It's hard to do an apples to apples comparison because they don't have exactly the same rim heights and widths across the range. But basically, I think if you were to have some wheels with identical heights, I think these would be even lighter than the CRWs, which is just insane. Again, if you're after a set of climbing wheels, get the EVO S3s and you're on a sub 1,100 gram wheels. These are hooked rims, all of these rims are hooked. And yeah, just bananas. But regardless of what depth of wheels you want, if you're doing a weight weenie build and you just want to shave weight off the bike, the EVO S Series are for you. Like I said, $1,499 US But again, like the EVO Cs, you can pay $200 more to upgrade to ceramic speed bearings. So that'd bring you on then to $1,699, which is even more expensive than the CRWs, but that's with ceramic speed bearings, and the CRWs don't have ceramic speed bearings. So what's important to you and what's not important to you, only you know. But yeah, more choice is good for everyone. So yeah, that's basically the whole range. But then there's some features of the wheels that are shared across the whole range. So first of all of these rims are hooked rims, none of that hookless stuff. In my personal opinion, hookless isn't ready for road yet, so let's keep it safe with hooks. That means you're safe to run these tubeless or safe to run them as clinchers with inner tubes in there as well. Speaking of running them tubeless, all of these rims are also holeless, so they have no spoke holes in the rim bed. That means you don't need installed rim tape, you don't need tubeless tape, anything like that, and it's just one less thing to go wrong, right? So sometimes with tubeless tape, over time, maybe it'll get perforated, and then you're at the side of the road, you know what's wrong with your wheel, it just won't see, and yeah, it's because you got a hole in your rim tape, whatever. That's not going to happen with these because there's no rim tape needed. But the flip side of that, on the carbon spoked wheels, because there is no longer a hole in the rim bed to get to the spokes, you need a special tool to true or tighten or replace these spokes. Because essentially you have to hold the spoke still and adjust the spoke all from the outside. So you need a special tool for that. Farsports do sell this tool, but it's like $150 US. So yeah, this whole like no holes in the rim bed thing, good thing, bad thing, like everything, it has pros and cons. The pro is that for 99% of people, 99% of the time, this will be a good thing because you don't have to mess around with rim tape. But for the 1% of people who 1% of the time have a broken spoke or the wheel for some reason goes out of true, it's going to be a pain in the ass to get it going. Is that a deal breaker? I'm not sure. You guys be the judge. So let's talk about how they ride. You guys have been around the channel for long enough now, like I have quite a lot of experience riding Chinese wheels at this point, and these wheels are up there close to or with the best, I'd say. So the C Series, which is the steel spoked wheels, are just super comfy wheels and super lightweight wheels. They're not the stiffest wheels in the world, but they're by no means noodly. But yeah, just a nice comfy wheel. I've been riding lots of carbon spoked wheels these days because, as I've said, I'm a big fan of carbon spoked wheels, but it is nice when you go back to steel spokes and you're like, that's what it feels like to be comfortable. And that C3 set of climbing wheels I had, absolutely crazy. They go up steep hills like there's nobody's business. I am definitely a sucker for a good set of climbing wheels. So yeah, 1100 gram steel spoke wheels, I'm all about it. Now the S Series, on the other hand, carbon spokes, as I've been saying, I love carbon spokes, and these wheels are no different. The weight or the lack thereof is definitely noticeable compared to other wheels. On steep climbs or literally just picking up the bike, you can feel the difference. I do think you lose a bit of comfort on them. I don't think they're quite as refined and comfortable as the CRW wheels. One thing I said when I talked about the CRW wheels is that like those wheels were made for carbon spokes only. Whereas these Farsports wheels, I think they're using the same rims for the carbon spokes and the steel spokes, just drilling them differently. So the layup of the carbon rim wasn't made with just carbon spokes in mind. But if we're really nitpicking on stuff, yeah, the S Series are super, super stiff, but you do lose some refinement, you do lose some comfort. So let's talk about general pros and cons. I think the biggest pro is the price, just because value. So okay, they're not the cheapest wheels in the world, but in my opinion, they are the best value, just because what you get for that money. And again, the whole range, all the value is there all the way through. Even things like the ceramic speed upgrade for $200. Like if you were to go out and buy a ceramic speed upgrade kit for your wheels, that would cost more than that as well. So yeah, no matter which option you choose, there is still value in the option. So that's the biggest pro. The second pro is the weight. For me personally, I think weight, especially wheel weight, is one of the most important things of a bike. Totally changes the way the bike feels, totally changes the way the bike handles, and yeah, less is more. So the weights on this range, super aggressive. I think they took like over 150 grams off the old wheels they're replacing, while still being wider, while still being stiffer. It's pretty impressive stuff. Another pro about this new range is the choice. So like you've got a bit of everything, right? If you like steel spokes, if you like carbon spokes, if you've got a lower budget, higher budget, you like ceramic speed bearings, you like steel bearings, there's lots of choice built in. So that's always good for consumers. Also, I think the 24mm internal, I think is very modern. Again, this is getting into a rabbit hole on the internet these days about what is the best internal rim width. But in my opinion, 24, it's modern, it's future-proof enough. Unless in the future we're all going to be riding around on 40mm slicks, then I think your 24mm is fine. In the future, I've got some videos coming up about different internal rim width wheels, and I'm going to try and find the answer to the question, but it is a bit of a rabbit hole. But in summary, 24mm internal, in my opinion, is a sweet spot for these days. But also just remember that 24mm internal is only on the mid and the deep wheels. The shallow wheels are 21mm internal, but if you're using shallow wheels, you probably don't care about aero, so maybe that's not a thing. So cons, or the disadvantages, let's talk about the cons of these wheels. The one thing I've noticed on the wheels is that in general across the whole range, the free hub is a little draggy. So what I mean like that, like sometimes when you get the wheels up spinning and then you let go of the crank will like slowly spin around with the rear wheel. Let's see if we can make it happen. Yeah, so you can kind of see it, like the crank spinning around with the free hub body. If I put a tiny bit of resistance on there, it's fine, and then, you know, it won't spin, but if I get it going again, maybe it'll keep going. So yeah, I've seen this on other wheels before. It's not a thing unique to these wheels, but it is something to know. Does it affect you when you're riding outside? In my experience, not so far. Like, even if you're pedaling really fast and stop pedaling, I've not had the chain hit the frame yet. But sometimes it's just a bit weird. Like I say, I've had it outside when I'm in certain gears. I start pushing the bike and the crank starts spinning with the bike. So yeah, a bit of a draggy rear free hub body. I imagine it's something to do with weather sealing back there, you know, hub design, like lots of things in bikes, it's give or take. You can't have it all. And I'm guessing they've chosen to have better weatherproofing, but it has a bit more drag on the free hub body. Like I say, when you're pedaling the bike, this drag goes away because everything's rotating together. But when you do stop pedaling and you do a downhill descent or whatever, in theory, that free hub is slowing you down like maybe 0.0 something watts. So yeah, it is something to know. The second con or second disadvantage of this range, in my opinion, is just the wheel depth. There's not enough range. So from the C3s to the C6s, like the C3s aren't 30mm, they're 35mm, and the C6s aren't 60mm, they're only 58mm. And to me, this makes all the choices like pretty close together. I'd rather have like the shallower wheels be shallower and the deeper wheels be deeper. Having everything like pushed close together, like in my opinion, it just makes it harder for consumers to choose. And yeah, you don't have any of the extreme options for any of the extreme people out there. So I would have liked to see more range in the range. And I'd say one other con of this wheel range in general is that the front and rear wheel profiles, rim profiles are the same. So in theory, the conditions of aero and everything of the front wheel and rear wheel are different. It would have been nice to see some optimization for the front and rear wheel, maybe a wider front rim to deal with more extreme yaw angles and stuff, but it's not a deal breaker, it's just a small detail, but you know, that's what I'm here for, to tell you the small details. So are these my new favorite wheel? As a shop owner, yes, like, because these are bringing such good value to consumers. Like, there's never been a better time to buy wheels or upgrade wheels on your bike. Like, the price to performance ratio on these wheels is crazy, so I'm pumped to be selling these because it's just better for consumers. As a cyclist, are they my favorite wheel? Now, I'm lucky in that I'm a cyclist who doesn't have to pay for their own wheels. And in that situation, my favorite wheel is still the CRW. So yeah, for the kind of riding I do on the kind of roads that I do, I still do think the CRWs have the edge at the very top, but the CRWs are a pretty expensive wheel set, yeah, like $1,680 US. Whereas the regular S series of the new Farsports wheels, over the CRWs, you're saving like $200–300, and you're not losing too much in performance. So if you do want value, I think these are a great wheel. But if you still do absolutely want the very best of performance, and you do have the budget, then in my opinion, the CRWs are the one to go for. So which one should you get? Well, it depends on you, and it depends on the roads you ride. Yeah, like I think the first decision to make is, do you want steel spokes or carbon spokes? I think there's two elements of this decision. And number one is budget, obviously. If you've got infinite budget, then it's okay. But if you've got limited budget, the steel spokes will be cheaper. But the second part of this decision is the roads you ride on. Yeah, so like I said, the carbon spokes, they do take off some comfort. If the roads around you aren't very comfortable, maybe go for the steel spokes. If the roads around you are very comfortable, not too bad, not too many potholes, then maybe go for the carbon spokes. But yeah, that's a decision for you. But for me personally, I'd recommend to like 80–90% of people just the regular S Series, not the EVO version. Like, save the money, a little bit heavier than the EVO version, but you got extra money in your pocket we can spend on other parts of your bike, or nicer tires or something like this, which will get you more speed than those extra few grams. Don't get me wrong, the EVO wheels are very nice, and as a weight weenie, it pains me to say that a few grams don't matter, because all grams do matter. But yeah, bang for the buck wise, the regular version I'd say is a no-brainer. But if you do have that infinite money glitch, then yeah, the EVO version and the ceramic speed upgrade as well, it's hard to find a better pair of wheels out there. But also, I think this gives me an idea. Like, I think I want to make a video, like recommendations for wheels for different price ranges, you know, like sub $1,000 wheel, $1,000 wheel, like $1,200 wheel, $1,500 wheel, like different recommendations for different prices. Let me know in the comments down below if that's a video you'd be interested in, and I'll get working on the script. Of course, this whole range is now available over on pandapodium.cc. At this point, we've become the de facto experts on Chinese carbon wheels. You know, we're selling so many different brands' wheels, and that makes us impartial. We can really look at them and get you the best wheels for your budget and the style of riding you do. And I think these new 2025 range of wheels are going to make our job easier, because it's more choices for consumers to get the best people with the best wheels and at a good price point. So yeah, to check out these wheels or to check out any other of our wheels, head on over to pandapodium.cc. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below if there's a question that I didn't address in this video, or if you have a more direct question and you're interested in a pair of these wheels, then do on head over to pandapodium.cc, ask my staff over there, and they'll get back to you ASAP. In general, I think these days it's a great time to be a cyclist. There are so many great choices for wheels. Wheels are getting lighter, wheels are getting cheaper, and that's just good news for everyone. So yeah, check them out. China Cycling out.